Reverend Paddy McEntire was the spiritual leader at Unity of Park City, Utah for 10 years. She started with a small congregation of 15 people and built up her church into a vibrant, thriving community of 145. After she married Bart, the love of her life, and she retired, her desire to minister continued. She has blessed churches in Carmel and Los Angeles, California, and has officiated at nearly 300 weddings. She insists it keeps her young and happy. We are always blessed and grateful to have Reverend Paddy with us. Let's give her a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. You might be wondering about the title of today's talk, The Quiet Brook of Bliss. I found this wonderful interpretation of the 23rd Psalm, and there's a line in it that just knocked me out. It says, "His tracks take me to an oasis of peace, the quiet brook of bliss." So, I don't make these things up. I've been feeling pretty flat. I've been feeling, you know how that is. It happens from time to time. I've had this constant stream of house guests, and I'm so good at changing sheets. Sheraton ought to hire me. However, my current artwork, because I'm every bit as much an artist as I am a minister, is, as my Jewish friends say, bupkis. Nothing. However, I've been alive long enough that I know that within us lie the seeds of transformation, and that we have an infinite potential for creativity and healing, imagination, and the capacity to reshape our world and ourselves within each of us. This is our true human potential, this constant transforming and finding of our essence. My vision for Unity is to create and to continually expand the dimensions of personal and social transformation. We're in this to become the best that we can possibly be. I want Unity to be the vehicle for everything that is unavailable in the cultural mainstream. Dignity, loyalty, integrity. I want to challenge what is and be the blazing light of tolerance and inclusiveness. Everybody is welcome at this church. There are no exceptions. Everybody. Bring them in. We used to do a little ceremony and we lit candles for every faith we could think of. And now we do it symbolically. I've got a question for you. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? What are you planning to do with it? I have a friend, and that's what her telephone message says. What are you planning to do? She says it in this very movie star voice. That question has been asked by Nelson Mandela, by the poet Mary Oliver, and hundreds of others. But boy, is it good to swim around in that. What are you planning to do with your one wild and precious life? Oh, I am planning to really enjoy myself and to love deeply. We live at this moment in a world of fundamental splits, which affects every area of life. Mind and body, body from spirit, feels as though it's never been more divided. Oh my God, I am old. And in my whole life, I've never felt this world to be so pulled apart. We are people who can heal the powerful, energetic splits that exist in life today. None of these areas of our lives and culture need to be the same next year. We can fix it. We can fix us. We can help fix our neighbors. The energy in this congregation can change this community. There are enough of us right now. We can go out and change the energy around us. If you want to lift your level of happiness, follow the suggestions of a UC psychologist. Her name is Sonia, and she has an unpronounceable last name, but I'm going to give it a shot. Luberinsky. Number 1, count your blessings. So when you came in, or if you got here a little late, you were handed a bit of a journal. They're blue and red and pink and green and all kinds of colors, whatever you have. And you're going to do something with these journals right now, right here, today. Get a pen. And you're going to start writing a gratitude list. You're going to do 3 to 5 things on your gratitude list. Oh, and Bart, I'd better be on that list. And write down the things you're currently thankful for. It can be something as minor as your flowers are in bloom, or as magnificent as watching a child's first step. Everybody's working at it. I'd like to suggest that every single Sunday you can bring your little journal with you. You can do it at home. You can do it in the morning. You can do it at night. But every Sunday, write the things that are on your gratitude list. It lifts your entire soul and being. Want to share one, Adam?
Music.
Yes, I would hope so. Anybody else want to share one? Yes, Bart.
My wife.
And to think when I met him, he was untrained. Okay, Miss New York, do you have one you'll share?
Actually, just being here today.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's great.
having Unity Church all over.
Wonderful. We're delighted to have you with us. How about one more? Yes.
This church.
This church. You got it. Okay, so now you know what to do with them. Number 2 on how to have a great life. Practice. Go ahead of you in line at the grocery store, because God knows she needs it. And let them be systematic. Do you have a neighbor, a relative, a friend who could use a decent dinner now and then? Fix one for them. Take it over. Don't make a deal out of it. Just here, I was thinking of you. Being kind to strangers or friends triggers a cascade of positive effects. It makes you feel generous and capable, gives you a greater sense of connection with others, and wins you smiles. The opposite of that. It wins you smiles, approval, and reciprocated kindness. And all of those things are happiness boosters. And the next one is savor life's joys. Don't miss out on them, whatever it is. At the grocery store, where I'm grinding my teeth because I got to push that cart and tote that bale and get a little drunk and you land in jail. And I go into that grocery store, in the front of everyone is the flower department. So, what am I? I'm delighted for the flowers that are there. I look at them. Oftentimes I bring them home. Savoring life's joys is as easy as taking a mental photograph. I was out with the dogs the other night, and I looked up, there's a full moon, and then the clouds were going past it. And I thought, this is magnificent. Take this picture, and I did. And when I got into bed and was a little restless and couldn't sleep, I called up that picture of the moon. Oh, it just, before you know it, I was sound asleep. One of the things that has worked well for me, and probably for you too, is to thank a mentor. Someone who's been your teacher, someone who has taught you about life. 42 years ago, I joined Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been sober so long, I forget when I was drunk. You know, it's just been wonderful. There was this wonderful woman, Dorothy Shea, and she's long dead, and she was never anonymous anyway. She was a stand-up comedian and a singer, and she looked at me at that first meeting, and she's given me the look, and she wrote down the phone number, and she handed it to me, and I thought, what the heck is this for? And she said, give me a call. And she walked down the hall, and when she got to the end of the hall, I'm checking her out, you know. She turned around and she walked back, and she said, on second thought, you better come over for dinner tonight because you are going to need a lot of help. And I did, and she gave it. Oh, what a love of a woman. She kind of took in this crazy person. I had eyes this big. If I'd been in the newspaper, the caption would have read, former mental patient, you know, because I just looked crazed. Because I was. Mentors are people who say one good phrase to us or who have taught us semester after semester of life how to get through it. It can be your grandmother. It can be anyone. It can be an old boyfriend who told you off, because we learn a lot from old boyfriends. Not to date them anymore. Who's your mentor? Have a kind thought and thank them. Write them a little note. If you see them in person, give them a warm hug. Oh, I like this one. Learn to forgive. Learn to forgive. Oh boy. Let go of anger and resentment by writing a letter of forgiveness to a person who has hurt or wronged you. Inability to forgive is associated with persistent ruminations or dwellings of revenge. While forgiving allows you to move on, and it allows you to stay healthy. Stop taking the Tums and forgive. Right here it says the bastard, but we won't use those words today. We'll just simply say, the rat fink. Yeah. Forgive any of them, all the time. Oh, you don't need a knot in your stomach. You don't need acid indigestion. You don't need to hurt yourself. Forgive them. Because if you don't, it's like swallowing the poison and waiting for them to croak. You can't do that to yourself. Forgive them. Invest time and energy in friends and family. Where you live, how much money you make, your job title, and even your health have surprisingly small effects on your satisfaction with life. The biggest factor appears to be strong personal relationships. If you find yourself down to one friend who'll take your calls, you better come here every week. Because we're going to hug you, and we're going to kiss you, and we're going to surround you with some love, and we're even going to feed you donuts some Sundays, and like today, a real feast. So, nourish your body, nourish your soul, nurture friendships, because they're what's going to keep you going. Take care of your body and get plenty of sleep. Oh, going to work and saying, I was up all night doing the blah, 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 makes you feel really big and important. It's ridiculous. I got to bed, had a good night's sleep, I dreamt about much better, much, much better. Unless you're cramming for the bar exam or something, and then maybe you ought to stay up and study. But nearly all the time, get yourself into bed early enough to get a good night's rest, and you'll wake up refreshed and smarter. This is going to make your life more satisfying in every way. To start it, to say, okay, here we go. Some people need to throw down a couple of cups of coffee, and other people just need to take a look outside and a deep breath, and they're off to the right start. The next one that our famous psychologist suggests is develop strategies for coping with stress and hardships. There is no avoiding the hard times. Every single one of us goes through hard times. Every one of us. Some are just, I broke my new acrylic nail. That is not a hard time. That's an inconvenience. But when the hard times come, and we know they're hard, if we've developed a strategy in advance, and maybe the strategy is, I read this spiritual book and I get a good idea from it. I go to bed with a prayer of thank you. I call my friends. They can get me through anything. Faith has been shown to really help people, but there are a whole lot of people out there who don't tune into the faith thing. And these everyday axioms like this too shall pass, or what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, they work too. They keep us right-sized. The trick is that you have to believe them. You just have to believe them. I'm personally preparing for the passing of my sister. I adore this woman. She and I got into so much trouble and had so much fun. And we raised our children. We did life together in every way. And she has serious dementia. She doesn't know who her children are. She doesn't know who I am. And it's tough stuff. And I flew to Michigan, and I made all the arrangements for her funeral because it was the one thing I could do. Her kids have been taking care of her. But I knew I could do that, and I did it. And it felt good to get all that arranged. And we've decided that one of the pieces of music we're going to play at her funeral is Aretha Franklin's Screamin' Respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. She earned it. She worked for it. I want us to sing it at that moment in time. God, she's been fun. Really, really fun. And another thing that I'm going to do is find a grief group that I can belong to. I'm going to come to church and let you love me and take care of me. I'm preparing for this, and I am really going to miss her. And that's, what is her name again? Sonia Limbomersky. That's the end of her list. And I think it's a pretty good list, and I've enjoyed sharing it with you. This is a time when peace seems pretty elusive. Natural disasters seem to be abounding, and the level of stress in the world around us seems to be at an all-time high. We are needed to be the heart and soul of our community. If not now, when? And if not me, who? We need to be the heart and soul of our community, our work community, our family community, our church community. Everybody, it seems, goes to the gym. We need to be the heart and soul of that community. I think it's our responsibility to do that. The Unity community must be the beacon of hope and compassion and serenity in this soup of chaos. Can we go forward with a smile and be kind? This congregation is filled with leaders and with open hearts and with kind spirits. We know that peace is possible, and if you ever forget that, call my house, because my answering machine says that I will return your call faster than you can say, peace is possible, because I want you to remember that. I have favorite poets, perhaps you do too, or perhaps the thought of poetry gags you, but I've got one. And my favorite Sufi poet is a fella named Shamsuddin Muhammad Hafez. Now that's a mouthful. But he was just known as Hafez. It's kind of like, hey Sam, Hafez. And he was on this planet when Rumi was here. And they referred to this experience of intimacy that they had with God. They referred to God as the beloved. The beloved. I like that a lot. And the title of the poem is Tripping Over Joy. What is the difference between your experience of existence and that of a saint? The saint knows that the spiritual path is a sublime chess game with God, and that the beloved has just made such a fantastic move. That the saint is now continually tripping over joy and bursting out in laughter and saying, "I surrender." Whereas, my dear, I am afraid you still think you have 1,000 serious moves. The saint is now continually tripping over joy and bursting out in laughter and saying, "I surrender." Isn't that the way out of every problem? Surrender it and give it to God, the beloved. And if you're still thinking you have 1,000 serious moves, go look in the mirror, have a good laugh, because you don't. Bless you. You know I love you. Amen.